Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh, you matter what. Add it
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Snazzy Show. Today I want to talk about manifesting everything that you want, because at the end of the day, when we believe that we deserve something, when we believe that we can acquire something, things start to change. And so in this episode, I really want to break down essentially the 3 steps. There are 3 steps that I have used myself. I've seen other people use it, and I really want to try and get you to also utilize it yourself. And now everybody thinks that manifesting is kind of like this airy-fairy, I guess, bullshit, but it's definitely not. Because when we think about the law of attraction, when we think about what it is that we get, a lot of the time people will not believe in it if it's something that maybe is a little bit more out there, something that's maybe the high achievers get. But if you think about it, you have actually manifested every single thing that you have today. Everything that you have or don't have is a product or a result of all of the decisions, the choices, the thought patterns, the attitudes that you have actually done up until this point. And we don't want to believe that, right? We want to kind of like get this idea is like, oh, that's just what I've deserved. Like, that's just how it's been for me. It's not the case. And I share that with you because so often people think that they were just like hand drawn to have a harder life or hand drawn to not have whatever it is that they want. And that is actually one of the hardest things to break, because then you've just kind of conditioned yourself to believe that you don't deserve more. And that's not the case. When people understand that their own value is all about how they want to measure themselves, like your value is measured by what you think. Your value is all about what you believe to be true about yourself. No one gets to dictate that. No one. And I share that with you because I struggled with self-worth, with this idea, am I good enough? Is what I'm doing good enough? I struggled with that. Only when I realized that I don't need to struggle with that, because I get to dictate if it's good enough. I get to dictate the worth. I get to make that measure. And it all comes out in the way that I present myself, in the actions that I take, in the results that I achieve. And you can have the same. So I'm going to break down these 3 very simple, yet extremely hard concepts that most people cannot do. All right. Number 1 is going to be imagination. You know, I don't know if you guys have ever seen like The Imagineers, right? There's a big documentary about it. The Imagineers is amazing because it is literally bringing people's thoughts, people's ideas, people's creativity to life. And when I say that, they're literally bringing it to life. And all it is it starts as a creative thought pattern. And we have this, right? We have a creative thought pattern. We actually believe that we can create this idea, this imagination of what our life could be. How does that look for you? If you were to describe yourself and your life, write it down. What would you say about it? How would you describe it? You know, what would be the words you use? What would be the story that you tell? That's your imagination. You have to bring that out. Like, you have to actually see it. Like, put yourself in a position where you are literally visualizing. And in this visualization, your imagination can go as far and as high and as wide as you possibly want it to go. And when you do that, it's insane what can change. Because as kids, we did it. As kids, we imagined so much. And then as adults, you know what stood in the way between a child imagining and an adult imagining? Fear. And fear comes in and stops you from attaining the goals that you want, because you tell yourself that you can't. You get all these fearful thoughts like, I'm too scared to do that. I'm too scared to say that. I'm too scared to put myself out there. What are people going to think? How is this going to go? It probably won't work. How easy is it for us to create this self-limiting belief that that's how it's going to be? And so I share that with you because when we think about our imagination, we know that it can run as high and as wide and as wild as we want it to go. But what stands in the way is that concept of fear. Now, you have to be realistic, right? Like, we're not going to create things that don't have the ability to be created. We're going to create a life and a version of yourself that is possible. And when I did this for myself, when I started to think like, who do I want to be? And like, what do I want to be? And all these things, I started to go, this is what it looks like. It was started off as a thought pattern. And when things are a thought pattern, we are actually rewiring our brain to believe that that's going to happen. We are starting to plant this seed, right? We plant this seed in the back of our minds where we start to go, that's possible. Maybe I could do that. Maybe that can be what I want it to be. Maybe. And then it's going to lead into the step number 2. But you first have to think about step number 1. Get a really clear idea. Get that imagination, grow it, build it, expand on it, go freaking wild with it. Literally, go wild with it. And once you do, you're going to then go to step 2. Step 2 is going to be belief. So we can have anyone and everyone around us believing in us. We can have everybody tell us that I believe in you and I believe in your potential and I believe that you are capable of this. But unless you do, none of that matters. Not one thing matters if you don't believe it for yourself. And that's the ultimate truth of it. I have told so many people, I see your potential. I have told so many people, I know you can do this. And you know what? Because they didn't believe in it, they got nowhere. They stayed the same. And the problem is that we are conditioned, right? From when we were younger, we were conditioned to have these limits, these limiting beliefs that get placed in us by don't touch that, don't go there, don't do this. Be careful of that. No, you're going to hurt yourself. No, you shouldn't even try that because it's not going to work. What that does is it starts to tell us that we actually are limited, right? Because if you see that as children, they are fearless and they will try things. Even if they have an idea that it might not work, they'll still try it. They'll still give it a go. And a lot of the time people won't give it a go. And that is because we start to doubt. And doubt removes belief. Doubt is like the thief of belief. Doubt and fear and shame and guilt try to steal from the belief that you can create if you actually bring some attention to it and some awareness. So it does take time. It does take time, and it takes a lot of self-reflection. It takes a lot of time for you to sit with yourself and start to think, do I believe in myself enough? Do I have this imagination that I can create something, that I deserve something that's bigger and better for myself? And can I add the belief to it? Can I truly bring those two together and harness that feeling? And I guarantee you what will happen is this level of fulfillment. And when you feel fulfilled, you're like, wow, where's this been my whole life? Like, you will feel so content that anything further from that honestly won't bother you. That's how it goes. We kind of get this imagination like, I really think I can have this type of life. I really think I can be this type of person. I really do. And then I believe that it's possible. I believe that I can be the highest version of myself that has an amazing life, that is truly fulfilled, that has so much greatness in their life. And I believe that that is possible for me. And you might think that that's so lame, right? But it's the reality. And the reality beats everything. So when you go from that concept of imagination and belief, you have one more step, which can be, for some people, the hardest step to take, the absolute hardest step to take. And that is going to be taking action. If you do not take action, nothing's going to happen. You're just going to kind of sit in that headspace. You're going to sit in those thoughts, and not a lot's going to change for you, because a thought not taken action is kind of dead, right? You have to kind of put something in place. You have to try to start to go, what's the step by step here? You don't necessarily need to know the exact how. That's not what's important here, because you're going to figure it out along the way. What you need to know is you go, what is step 1? And step 1 will lead to step 2, and step 2 will lead to step 3. And then over time, you've probably created 100 steps. And when you look back, you're like, whoa, I started at step 1 and then now I'm here. So once you have that imagination, that creative thought process, and you add your own self-belief, your own, no one else's. If other people come along, great. If not, doesn't matter. You just need you. Then you're going to take action. Action towards that version. For example, and I like to use this as an example, if someone started to believe that they could be this fit, strong, healthy, happy human being, they imagined that. They imagined the body that they would have. They imagined what it would look like. They imagined how it would operate, how it would perform, how it would feel. And then they go, I believe that's possible for me. I truly believe that I can do that. I can be that person that is strong, that is fit, that is capable, that doesn't have doubts, that overcomes the fear, that overcomes the rejection, that still tries and tries and tries. If you can create that person in your head and you can believe it, what is the first thing that you're probably going to do? You're going to join a gym. You're going to start a nutrition plan. You're going to get a coach. You're going to maybe start to journal. You're going to start to write down some goals. All of this is going to happen. And that's the step by step. That's how it happens. You see people transforming their lives all the time. Guess where it started? It started with a thought process that is, in a sense, your imagination. And that led to this, I believe I can do it. Now, the people that stop, like I'm going to start and then I'm going to stop and then I'm going to restart and then I'm going to stop and then I'm going to restart. That's not belief. That's where they draw the line at belief. They have this imagination of what they can do, what they can be, but then this line gets drawn going, I think, I might, I'm not sure, I don't believe in myself enough. So I'm just going to retract back, I'm going to regress, and then I'm going to start again, and then I'm going to regress, and I'm going to start again. That is how you know that someone doesn't believe in themselves enough, because they didn't consistently do it. They didn't keep the actions going, task after task, day after day. It's just about that. And when you can put these 3 steps into fruition, like you can create this for yourself, your life changes. Your life completely shifts gears. And I share that with you because I see it all the time. I help people do this. In my coaching program, I help people go from this imaginative state to this overwhelming belief. And every single time they do this, so many of them go to such a point that they're just like, I never want to go backwards. I never want to retreat. I never want to retract. And that is exactly how you can create a better version of yourself. And it doesn't necessarily have to be just with fitness. It can be with anything. Whatever it is, if it's a job, if it's going to be a certain family that you're going to have, a certain house you're going to have, whatever it is for you, you have to start to actually believe in it. You have to become a bit more aware. And awareness is just consciousness, like you being more conscious of yourself. Like walk around awake. Don't just focus on like the hardships in life, the negatives in life. Don't just focus on the areas of life that just kind of suck for you. And pour more of your attention into what you believe, into what you want, and then feed that. The more you feed something that you want, the more it's going to grow. The more you feed something that you don't want, the more it's going to grow. It's up to you how you want to deliver that. It's up to you what's going to happen next. And I really want you to think about that and focus on that very first step. That very first step. Spend some time asking yourself, what is like the ultimate? Where can my imagination go for me? And how far can I take it? And what can I do with it? What's the ultimate version of me I can be, right? Imagine it. Start there. And once you do that and you really kind of like dial it in, get creative and get clear and really start to understand it, you'll start to go, how does that feel for me, right? Like your belief will either come in and it'll add to it, or you'll be like, I don't know if I'm there yet. You'll know right then and there. And from there, the first action is going to happen. The very first action. Doesn't matter what that is. but you will take that very first action. Once you do that, you'll never want to turn back, because people that turn back, it's very hard for them to turn back around. So I hope that that's helpful for you guys. And please, like, share this with someone and give as much as you can to people. The more that you can give, the more that you can get. Okay, so this whole concept of law of attraction is very real, and a lot of people don't want to understand it or even give it time of day. Guarantee you, if you do, it'll change your life. So just remember, guys, you're one decision away from a completely different life. We'll see you in the next one.
Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. You matter what.